Shiva said, hey, Arnie, would any of your sons be interested in coming to Bangalore and spending the summer with me? My dad's like, would you like to go to Bangalore? I'm like, hell yeah, I'd like to go to Bangalore.
Any young American listening to this, if you haven't done this, there is just so much value in traveling if you can.
Welcome to this episode of Sunny's Silver Linings. Sunny's guest today is Peter Bellini, CEO of CyberCNS. In this episode, they chat about the entrepreneurial lessons he's learned as a leader, the top challenges in the industry right now, and so much more. And now, your host, the founder and CEO of IT by Design, Mr. Sunny Kaila. Over to you, Sunny.
Peter, welcome to my show.
Hey, Sunny. Nice to see you. Happy to be here. Happy to be here to talk about some tech.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my show and taking the time. And I know as a startup entrepreneur, you are very, very busy. Like early stage, I should call it, or whatever stage, I know all entrepreneurs are busy, and taking time out of their day-to-day is really, really tough. And I appreciate you taking the time. And I would like to start with kind of your life journey. And so tell me a little bit about yourself. Why MSP channel? How did you get into the channel? A little bit about you.
Of course. So my name's Peter Bellini. If the last name is familiar, it's because my father's Arnie Bellini. He was the founder of ConnectWise. He helped kind of establish a lot of the MSP industry. So growing up, we were always kind of on the bleeding edge of technology, if you will, right? We always had the latest and greatest internet access. Some of my buddies were on dial-up when I was a kid. We had already graduated past that. My father established an MSP when I was young. Eventually, later on, as I got older, he did the actual software company. But it was interesting because, some days after school, he'd pick me up. He'd take me out back to the build room, and, I'd do my homework back in the build room next to, the half-built servers and workstations and whatnot. So I really kind of got to live through the evolution of the industry all the way up until this point now where, back in the day, everything was on premise. Now it's all shifting to the cloud, and it's bringing, its own host of new, unique problems and opportunities with those changes.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I go back when it comes to IT by Design, adopting ConnectWise, like 2005 onwards, the contribution that your father made to the channel is really, really, like a very high level contribution. And, like when I started my MSP, it was not called MSP. It was like something like IT solutions type of break fix type of thing. And I remember meeting him at Penn Plaza right next to Penn Station, and that was 2005. And ConnectWise was like a very small company, and kind of really, I have seen that evolution, and I have seen the impact of Arnie on the channel, creating this, and this really, really vibrant marketplace. So tell me a little bit about what you do, and it's a channel play. And what exactly you do for the channel?
So I recently joined back into the channel through a venture called CyberCNS, which we are recently rebranded to ConnectSecure. CyberCNS was founded by two industry experts, Shiva and Shrikant. So I actually got to know these guys. I'd go over to India while in college to spend my summers with Shiva and his development team. And I really learned a lot of my programming knowledge. I learned a lot about, the development life cycles, all that good stuff. And about 3 years ago, they started this company up in sort of a beta phase and software development phase. And then we've been selling to clients actually for about a year and a half now. We've been growing very rapidly in the last year. So I'm coming on board to help kind of, accelerate that growth and help establish their base here in the United States. And also just because I genuinely, have always enjoyed spending time with Shiv and Shrikant. And, it's more than just business. It's also guys that I just genuinely enjoy working with, brilliant people. And our whole goal here is to kind of, help enable MSPs to better sell and provide cybersecurity services. So our tool is a risk assessment, vulnerability management tool. And if you're familiar with the cyber defense framework, we kind of sit in that beginning column, the identify stage. So we're kind of that first foot in the door for MSPs to start selling and providing cybersecurity services.
Awesome. I mean, cybersecurity is the place to be right now, and you picked the right right product there. So I mean, I'm really, really curious to tap into your thinking here, Peter, because you're a young entrepreneur. Like my reference point is average MSP CEO or in the MSP industry. Like, what do we see? Like, you're a young entrepreneur. So talk to me a little bit about your entrepreneurial lessons learned so far. So what have you learned so far during this journey as a leader?
Right. So I would say the big thing that I really found unique and what I've really learned from this last journey here with CyberCNS, now called ConnectSecure, is letting the users guide the roadmap. So this is something that, I did at my previous employer way long ago, kind of got away from it. But I think what CyberCNS is it's sort of like a co-op, if you will. In fact, we actually gave on the previous round, when I funded the company, Shiva and Shrikant gave a lot of our major power users a little bit of stock so that when I acquired a chunk of the company, those users actually got, a little bit of a payout for all their contributions they gave to our product roadmap. So the company was really built around these weekly partner calls. And really what it is here's what we're doing, here's what we've done, here's what we'd like to do. Depending on the week, depending on the development life cycle, we have a different conversation around our feature set and our roadmap. And, something Shiv and Sri like to say is we don't have any product managers. Our product managers are our users. And how we get that is we get that feedback on our Wednesday calls. And it's really been quite refreshing and interesting to see how we've grown out our feature set and our roadmap by doing these weekly calls. And I want to help kind of facilitate that better so that we can gather more ideas from our users and organize it in a more intuitive fashion as we move forward and grow the company.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. Let the users guide roadmap, and, users are, your clients are kind of your product managers. That's a great way to think about your product roadmap, what should be a priority on the roadmap. And so what are your top challenges right now? So what are your top, like 1 or 2 or 3 challenges?
I would say our top challenges right now, education. So not only education as in, improving our documentation and our how-to guides, which we're working on. I know that's heavily requested. We're working on it. Making that better, making that more comprehensive. And also education as far as, educating the MSPs on cybersecurity and what actually matters to their clients. A lot of the times we on the tech side, we like to really kind of dive deep into the technical side of things when in reality, the MSP's clients, a lot of the times they just care about the monetary financial impact that, ignoring cybersecurity could cause their business. So educating the MSP to talk more about the business as opposed to the tech, how does the tech impact the business as opposed to just like, here's 5 critical vulnerabilities, and you need these patches on your server and workstations and your firewalls and all that kind of stuff. But more so, what's the business impact? So I think shifting that over more towards a business conversation is something we also need to work on, in addition to the documentation and how-to guides and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So now, one thing that when we were kind of just having a chat, you said, Sunny, we do like month-to-month agreements. I mean, that normally is not that conventional thinking in the MSP space. People want to have like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Like, what's the reason behind you deciding on month-to-month?
The company, ConnectSecure, is 100% employee-owned. So, all the decisions are made by people who work at the company. Our big reason why we do month-to-month contracts is because that's the way it should be, right? When you think of SaaS, you look up SaaS, part of the definition is month-to-month payments. A lot of these companies, they lock into these 3-year contracts, and it makes sense because you have to be able to project the financial viability of the company. But in our case, we're very, like you said, we're kind of a startup or early stage. But we also have a lot of financial backing. So that kind of puts us in a very unique position as a company that's lean, but also has a lot of weight behind it. And that enables us to really do these month-to-month contracts and to be able to handle instability. But what we found is it's not unstable at all because, we listen to our users, we hear their pains, and we work to relieve those pains. And people see that because we talk with them every week on our weekly calls. And we don't really see a lot of people churning out. And if they do, we have a nice conversation with them to understand why. So really the month-to-month has been great for us because, if you want to try out the product, you're not beholden, you're not stuck with any long-term contracts. If you're not happy, you're done. You can quit at any time.
Yeah. And can you, so 2 other questions I have. One is, like, what's your vision? Like, where are you going? Like, could be 1 year, 3 year, 5 year kind of vision. Like, what do you have in mind where you're going with this company? Second is, how are you different than your competitors, like people that are doing exactly the same thing?
I would say what makes us different from our competitors, one of those things is the month-to-month contracts. That really is kind of a huge differentiator for us, and it makes people feel safe when, we're doing our sales and onboarding. They're not having to decide on a 3-year vision. They're just deciding on a month-to-month vision with us. So that really helps differentiate ourselves. Another thing that really differentiates ourselves is we don't just do internal scanning. We don't just do external scanning. We don't just do Active Directory scanning. We do all of those in one tool, and we don't break it out into different modules that you have to pay for. You get all of the functionality in one tool. And then the vision of the company is, like I said, it's just all of those products in one tool. That's kind of our scanning tool. We're going to eventually start to build out other additional products in the suite and bring that to market in kind of one cohesive unit. And, right now, like I said, we live in the identify stage, but there are other columns, or, it's the same thing as the NIST framework. There's other sections of the framework that we would like to either partner with companies. We may do acquisitions, and we may build them ourselves. And really what we want to do is we just want to make, either through partnerships, acquisitions, or building, we want to kind of fill out all of those different columns so that MSPs have one unified tool to do all of their cybersecurity needs through.
Yeah. So unified platform is the vision. Now, so one thing that happens with the month to month, and this is, partially me going to IT Nation for many, many years and sitting in those breakout sessions, that one thing that we have learned there was like early on when MSPs were not MSPs, everything was turning into monthly recurring. That was one, but then it was encouraged. I mean, it was having long-term agreements were encouraged just to build the valuation and everything else, right? So one thing that I want to ask, so you said you have lived in India for a little while. So talk to me a little bit about your experience there. Which one is your favorite food? Is it butter chicken or something else? Or talk to me a little bit about your global citizen experience.
Absolutely, yeah. So I love Indian food. Let me just start off with that. So how I got over there in the first place is, I mentioned it earlier in our talk here that I actually went over there during my summer breaks while I was in college. Shiva said, hey, Arnie, would any of your sons be interested in coming to Bangalore and spending the summer with me? My dad's like, would you like to go to Bangalore? I'm like, hell yeah, I'd like to go to Bangalore. While I was in India, I learned a lot of the nuts and bolts of my programming skills. So my summer project over there in Bangalore was building a fishing application, not spear fishing, but like actual hook line fishing. As a Florida boy, I'm a big bass fisherman. Favorite foods, I would say, cheese masala dosa ended up being my go-to.
Okay. Yeah.
Chicken biryani, chicken tikka masala. Those are kind of like your basics. Everybody likes that a lot. And then I really like the filter coffee as well. That was nice.
Okay.
The Indian style coffee.
Yeah. Chai. I don't know. The Starbucks says that chai, with that chai word is more like tea. Hindi word for tea is chai. So thank you for sharing your experience there. And it's very innovative what you did at that age when you went to India. And one thing that just I was thinking about was, like, when you travel globally, especially to countries like India, as American young kid, you become a lot more probably grateful in life. The gratitude level changes. That's what happens to my kids. And I, like any young American listening to this, if you haven't done this, there is just so much value in traveling if you can. To like just well-traveled people are normally a lot more emotionally mature, and they are like the world that we live in with the different cultures, and it's really, you can be a much more powerful entrepreneur and professional if you have that global understanding and perspective which comes from travel. I'm so glad that you took that as an opportunity to do that, Peter. And thank you so much for coming to my show. I truly appreciate you, and wish you all the best with your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you very much, Sunny. It was a pleasure being on here and having this conversation with you. I look forward to seeing what the future holds for both of us.
Yes, likewise. Thank you. Thank you for watching Sunny's Silver Linings. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.